Ladies and gentlemen, if you thought we made strides last week, then you will not believe what we have in store for you this week. Last week we dealt with our first ever female subject, Miss Audrey Hepburn, but today we're going bigger. It's our first ever directorial subject, alright? I'll propose a toast to that, okay? But as my doctor says, I should really lay low on the wine, so we'll just wait until after, as always. On that note, my name is Professor Larry Freed, and welcome back to yet another fantastic installment of The Greats. In the film industry, it's always important to recognize all of the different opportunities you have as a filmmaker. And not only that, but how you can maybe push the envelope on how some of these concepts are executed. In other words, it's great to be ahead of the curve sometimes, and this director is no stranger to this concept. In fact, his use of special effects in the film industry would make him one of the most well-respected directors in all of Hollywood. He's Robert Zemeckis. Born on this day in 1951, Robert Zemeckis grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and began making films while he was in high school. He applied to the film school at University of Southern California, but was first denied. But after essentially begging on his hands and knees, he found his way into the program. There he would meet Bob Gale, his eventual screenplay writing partner, and create the Student Academy Award-winning film Field of Honor. He showed it to Steven Spielberg, who was monumentally impressed, and after that, Spielberg became Zemeckis' mentor, providing him with most, if not all, of his beginning directing jobs. Zemeckis and Gale would co-write the first two Spielberg-supported films of their career, I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars, and then would later write the Spielberg-directed 1941. All three, while critically adequate, were box office failures. Due to this, several projects involving Zemeckis and Gale were shot down by studios. To prove himself, Zemeckis agreed to direct the Michael Douglas adventure comedy Romancing the Stone. It was a financial hit, and this allowed Zemeckis to take on other projects. Phew, great Scott, that was a lot of backstory. Get it? Great Scott is a quote from Back to the Future? Whatever, just roll the clip. Back to the Future. A timeless movie on so many levels. For one, it's a ton of fun. It's got a great cast, it has an excellent concept, which is executed brilliantly despite how many holes could have been made in the plot. And there are tons of great effects here and there. It's pure 80s greatness. On the other hand, the film is a technical marvel, as far as the 80s are concerned. During production, Zemeckis was using some very intricate technology to pull off the film's visuals, and this would introduce a ton of new possibilities in visual effects. This, plus word of mouth, would lead to Back to the Future becoming the highest-grossing movie of 1985. Now, of course, Robert Zemeckis' film career spans plenty of different feats and accomplishments, so I'm gonna have to move a little quickly, but don't worry, I will try to keep all of my enthusiasm for Mr. Zemeckis' work as constrained as possible. God damn it, I forgot about Roger Rabbit. Okay, I hope you don't mind, but I gotta go on a bit of a spiel here because, guys, it's Roger Rabbit. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Just like Back to the Future, 1988's Who Framed Roger Rabbit was one of the most groundbreaking technical achievements at the time. It was nowhere near the first film to incorporate live action with animation, mind you, but it was probably the most expensive. In fact, it actually was. It was the most expensive animated film to have ever been greenlit at the time. And it was a pretty complicated endeavor. Several characters are animated in the film, and there are several interactions going on between live action and animated characters. But it would all be worth it in the end, as the film would spark the golden age of animation, and many credit Roger Rabbit for being the roots that led to the period known as the Disney Renaissance. Oh, and on top of that, it's also entertaining, hysterical, creative, well-animated, intelligent, impressive. Did I mention this is one of my favorite films of all time? Because I just want to be clear. This is one of my favorite films of all time. After this, Zemeckis would conclude the Back to the Future trilogy with 2 more sequels, solidifying his top-notch special effects skills. Sure, he was a good director and writer, but his special effects skills really put him on top. Alright, that's it. I'm done. Gushing is over. Roger Rabbit is complete. Let's move on and continue discussing the rest of Mr. Zemeckis' incredibly successful lineup. Oh, Jesus. Alright, one more. That's it. One more quick gush of how much I love Robert Zemeckis, because, guys, it's Forrest Gump. I mean, I know everyone said how brilliant it is already. There's not much more for me to add, but, guys, it's Forrest Gump. This brilliantly written main character, portrayed by Tom Hanks, was such a joy to watch develop. I haven't seen a crazy amount of movies, but I would go as far to say that Hank's Forrest is easily one of the most well-crafted main leads in all of cinema. Knowing the history behind the events the film discusses, it was simply fascinating to see this man go through all of it. That, and everything else it does right, makes this movie an instant classic. Honestly, to me, the visual effects play a minor role in why this movie truly shines. It's the characters and the storytelling that make it so good. Okay, that's it. I promise. I'm done gushing that much. I think I might go crazy if I continue. So, if there's one thing to take away from Mr. Zemeckis' body of work, it's filled to the brim with special effects work. I mean, just loaded with it. Zemeckis would take a very large leap with The Polar Express, the first film in history to be filmed completely using the emerging motion capture technique, which is used a lot more nowadays. This would be the first of 2 directorial outings with motion capture, as 2009's A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey would be the second in a duo of successes in that department. Unfortunately, his third time would be the unluckiest, with Mars Needs Moms, a huge victim of the Uncanny Valley. Despite the fact he only produced it, it tarnished his reputation with the craft. Currently, he's planning on directing a film entitled To Reach the Clouds with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Ben Kingsley, about a Frenchman's high-wire walk across the Twin Towers in 1974. I don't know much about the event, but it seems right up Zemeckis' alley, so expect that on October 2nd, 2015. And, of course, we can always hope for Roger Rabbit 2 to make its way onto the drawing board. One day, Larry. One day. So, I could go on for hours rambling about how much I love Robert Zemeckis and how his work with special effects would pave the way for several more influential films to come. But honestly, if you haven't already gotten that message, I don't really think me repeating myself would do either of us any favors. So, on that note, I'm just going to propose a toast to Mr. Robert Zemeckis, who paved the way, as I said already, for several new storytelling methods in the film medium. Until next time, my name is Professor Larry Freed, reminding you to always strive for greatness. Sir, are you sure you should drink that wine? I mean, the doctor said it's not really the best for your health. Look, Robert, it's Roger. Whatever. You do a great job around here, and I really do appreciate all of your work, but this is my show, and no one tells me how to run my show. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to have a little bit of wine. Mr. Freed, I read that doctor's diagnosis. You don't want to drink that wine. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. No, you don't. I do. You don't. I do. You don't. I do. You do. I don't. You do. I don't. You do. Look, when I say I don't, I mean I don't! What are you trying to tell me? What, you think you're better than me? Get my manager on the phone. I want a lawyer, okay? This simple camera boy, he's fired. What does he think he is? Some stupid lunatic? I'm the boss. I make my own show. When I don't want to drink wine, I don't want to drink wine, okay? Bad for my health. My doctor said so. Jesus Christ, we need a new camera boy. What, that guy in the tent? He's working over there in the studio? Bring him in. Okay? Works every time. He keeps doing this every single week. You know what? I'm sick of it. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Hello everyone, this is Larry. I really hope you enjoyed this very special episode of The Greats dealing with the first director that we've ever covered, Robert Zemeckis. That would explain why this episode is a bit longer than most. We just had so much to cover with such a prolific director, we kind of had to just cover all the basics.
And even with that said, there were still a couple of errors I just want to make up. So, first of all, I said that Robert Zemeckis had 2 motion capture directorial efforts. Actually, I missed Beowulf, so I believe that's 3. So far, I believe those are the only 3 in which Robert Zemeckis used complete motion capture, nothing else. Also, I didn't really take any time to mention Flight with Denzel Washington, which Robert Zemeckis also directed. It's a great film. I recommend you watch it. I don't know if it was one of the best that I saw of that year, but it definitely was very well made. And also, there were a ton of Robert Zemeckis films I didn't really cover, like Death Becomes Her, Castaway, Contact, all of these great films. So I really suggest you do your own research to figure out for yourself why Robert Zemeckis is such a great director. But anyway, thanks for watching. Again, go to rulethirds.com for tons of awesome movie content. Brand new videos go up every single week. And you better get ready because our Godzilla review is coming up in just barely a week. And it's going to be awesome. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.